Evening folks, hope everyone is well and you've not been annexed by a foreign state. Anyway, I just want to do a video following up on one of my January jams, and it was my January 25, so you can go and look at that. And I was basically using it was a sort of modular stroke synthy hybrid-y sort of jam, but I was basically cheating. I was using a sort of randomness generator to generate a lot of the notes, the MIDI information. So this is a plugin that comes with Reaper. It's one of the Reaper, it's one of the many plugins that come with Reaper. So I just thought I'd dig into that for this video and show you that. And I might do a sort of at least one or two follow-ups as well. I think some people might say, oh, randomness, random note generation, that's cheating. But actually I think randomness can be a real inspirational tool, and it can get you out of a creative cul-de-sac, because it can come up with things that your fingers wouldn't necessarily come up with, just by the nature of the process. It's the computer's going, oh, I'm going to use that note and that note and that note, and then obviously you can wrap that randomness around some structure, around a scale or a mode, and then you can get something that starts to sound like music. Anyway, so that's what this video is about. Okay, so we're going to set the Reaper project up. I've just got a blank project. We'll start from scratch so we can set up all of the routings. So create a new track, double click. What I'm going to do, so I'm just going to set up the routing that I need. Now I'm going to take an input from my Z1, which is coming in on MIDI in on channel 2. Okay, and then I'll arm it and we'll put the monitoring on. So if I hit a few notes, we're not going to hear anything, but we can see that we've got MIDI coming in there. We're now going to set the MIDI out on routing, and the output is going to the Behringer Pro 1. Excellent. That is set to channel 1, and I have that connected via USB, so we can hear the Pro 1. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now the control voltage and the gate is coming out of the Pro 1 and going into 2 HB pluck. So let's hear that. There we go. That's pluck. That's 2 HP pluck coming through. There's a bit of delay from the Z5000. So that all sounds lovely. Okay, now we've got our track. Let's set up the randomness. So what you're going to go, you open your, as if you're going to enter a new plugin, and just type rand. And what the plugin you want is Modal Randomness. And basically, this is going to give you sort of intervals from a sort of root note, which can either be a MIDI note from the track, or it can be your input that you're going to play in. And it's basically saying, so if I play a C, then I believe 1 is a whole tone. So 3 is 3 tones, 5 tones, 6. And I say it's a tone because I can select 2.5 or 1.5. I can't select a half. So that's what this is. So I've got A, B, C and D. And then I've got a sort of probability that it will then play, those sort of variations from the note I'm hitting. Okay. And there's some other settings here based around sort of timing, octave randomness, So what I will do in speed, I'm going to set the speed randomness to 0. So we're going to be clocked from the project tempo, which is 90 BPM. I'll set the octave randomness to 0, the timing randomness to 0, velocity randomness. Velocity can stay, that's okay. Number of simultaneous notes. Well, I believe the 2 HP pluck is essentially a mono instrument. Am I wrong? Is that correct? But let's set that to 1, so I'm only going to be playing one note at the same time. Quantize targets per beat. Yeah. And you can start to play with these and get some pretty sort of crazy results. But then now, if I just play, I'm going to just play a C. Okay, great. So then I play another C and get different notes. So if I just keep playing C, it's, you know, now obviously I've got these probabilities are all set differently. So that it's still going, and that, so the 6 tones above the C, if I'm playing a C, that will only happen sort of 20% of the time, and this interval will happen 40%, and this interval will happen 30%. So you can just play with these. So if I set up a basic sort of pentatonic scale, so if I play a C, if I want the D to happen, that is again 1 tone away. If I want the F, that is, the D is 1, 1.5, 2, 3. Okay, so the F is the 3, the G would be 4, not 3.5. And then the B flat, if G is 4 tones, the B flat would be for 5.5. So I believe that is, so root note C, that would be a D, that would be an F, that would be a G, that would be a B flat. So it's basically, you know, a sort of a pentatonic version of based around C as the root note. But actually, you know, it doesn't actually matter what root note I do, because obviously these are just intervals from that. I'll just raise up some of these. Let's call that 50%. There we go. So depending on the behavior you want, so the way I've got it set now is that note, every time that note triggers, you know, it sort of goes, oh, you're triggering a new note, and then it applies to that randomness. So for example, if we wanted a new event, whoops, you know, every beat, let's just you can hear the effect is sort of firing off, obviously, every time Reaper sort of sees a new note put in. Okay, and I think I added the octave randomness, yeah, back in. So 50% of the time, I don't know whether it's going to take an octave of that, or it's going to take an octave, you know, or 50% of the time it just takes an octave of the root note. I can't work it out from listening. You know, and obviously we could have, you know, so every time there's a new event, you know, it's sort of triggering. So, you know, you can sort of, you know, tune this to your, to whatever your needs are. If I just create, I'll just create another insert new MIDI item. I'll just go back to the sort of long held note. So it seems that you can play with the time, the decay time. And if I set this to, I think the default is 10 seconds as it comes. Basically, notes will just keep firing off. And then as I stop it, it just sort of the kind of effect goes crazy and just sort of spews out a whole load of MIDI data until it finally stops. So this kind of gives you that ability to control whether you're going to do it entirely from what you set up as MIDI items, or if you just want to be sort of lazy or just see where the randomness takes you, you can leave that set up there. And that is basically modal randomness. Set up the probability for each of these intervals, set the intervals as you like, and just play with these, use your ears until it sounds interesting and good. And I'm just going to clone, I'm just going to duplicate that. We don't need any MIDI in, we don't need any routing, no output. Let's get rid of that so we know where we are. Let's keep that. So, and obviously, because we're just generating random MIDI data, we can slap in a VST behind it. So let's get Surge fired up. Lovely Surge, lovely Surge. It's great. In terms of free synthesizers, you can't. Let's just FM pluck. Let's fire up an FM pluck. So we've got 2 HP pluck, and then we've got a Surge pluck. You can't hear that. Just put that button down. Because I've got, this is a virtual instrument, I'll set up a delay on this for a bit of extra added spiciness. Go away, Google Drive. And obviously, if you wanted to put together a little sort of loop library, you could obviously, well, you need to record in the audio because this is coming from a modular setup. But you could just set, you could just have a load of these sort of set up right. Let's just solo that and just go, bing, ping, ping. I want to select those. Let's render did it do selected media items via the master modal madness wave files without a tail because we're doing loops. Render 3 items, bing, bing, bing. There we go, showing Finder. So we've really quickly made 3 kind of random loops. Can we hear those? Not bad, not bad. So if and if they can trigger some inspiration, use that as a kind of loop to introduce a track. Nice. But yeah, so that's sort of typically how you could use this kind of this modal randomness plugin, and you could also combine that with other MIDI plugins. I mean, I don't know, Humanizer. So the MIDI that spits out, you could then use human. You could then affect the timing and the velocities further. for a bit more sort of variety, or I don't know, you could use transpose, just transpose everything up by a whole octave if you want. You could do that. Let's put it before the plugin. Up there in the rafters. Oh yeah, don't mind that, don't mind that at all. And obviously, you know, using it as part of a sort of modular rig, very quick way to sort of start, you know, getting going with modular without necessarily needing to, you know, create a whole lot of MIDI to trigger, you know, the 2 HP pluck in this case. And obviously setting up nice loops. You can just start jam away. Alrighty, let's wrap this video up. See you in the next one.